guest for you guys in our series installation talking about walled garden media buy optimizations, both at the placement and the creative level, and what the role is of the media agency in this new world where AI is taking more control of the steering wheel than ever before. Galina Shubik is the co-founder of Effect Group. She has over 20 years of experience in marketing and has worked with brands like Pepsi, MasterCard, Lego, and Mercedes-Benz, and many other brands that are of a challenger size. She's the co-founders of Effect Group and an Effie and Shorty Award-winning performance marketing agency based in California. Galina, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate your time and looking forward to diving into the topic at hand today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, would love to start off on your background if you would be willing. I think we've got a lot of younger folks in the audience who are interested in the industry, and we always like to start off with kind of origin stories so people can get a little bit of context in, how you came to where you are in the world today. So, where'd you grow up? What'd you study? And how'd you get into the agency space?
Okay. Let's try to make it as short as possible.
Sure.
So I did start at Ogilvy Group. I didn't know a thing about digital marketing or marketing in general. Somehow I was just smart enough to pass through all the job interviews, and they hired me as a CRM manager, which I did not know at that point what even meant. And they assigned me to Volkswagen account. And like day one, I was supposed to come up with a CRM strategy. And it was like 20-ish years ago. So no ChatGPT, no Perplexity. So I was on my own.
Wow.
I did some job. I don't want to say amazing job, but I did some. They didn't fire me. And then just gradually I got some experience. I was smart enough to learn I would always choose the smartest person in the room, client or top manager, and I would just stick and shadow and try to absorb as much of their thinking as possible. It all started back in Eastern Europe. I joined Effect Agency, which was a 30 people agency at that point. I grew it to over 100, and this agency, it still exists. It still works with PepsiCo, MasterCard, Lego, like main enterprises. And then 5 years ago, we opened a new agency here in California. It does performance marketing. It works with mid-sized to larger and enterprise level brands. And it is like the way inside the United States, it was like 3 times faster than in Eastern Europe, because everything that took me 10 years back in Eastern Europe, it took me like a year here, because we became a performance marketing partner of Shorty Awards. We won our own Shorty Awards. I became judge with Effie Awards and Shorty Awards. So it's so much faster if you're smart and if you're willing to work hard. You thrive.
I love it. How'd you get how'd you get on the Effie jury? Because that's a pretty prestigious award these days. The only show or the show that is most well known for focusing on results versus creative prowess and things like that. So I'd be curious to hear.
You know what? I would love to say I was lucky, but I don't remember who. Some very famous athlete said that the more I practice, the more lucky I get winning. So I did a lot of prep before moving to California. So our agency first became partner of Effie Awards in Eastern Europe, would be their social media partner, performance marketing partner. So we had some connections. Then when I moved here, I just asked them like, hey, do you know the right email for me to introduce myself to Effie US? They did have an email. I still had to go through all the vet process. So I filled out a form on Effie website. Actually, anybody can fill out this form. And then you have to have enough pages to comply with the requirements. You gotta have enough experience. You gotta have big brands, and you gotta have some interesting experience. I want to say because Effie, it really is about effectiveness. So you got to bring something to the table, right? So I had international experience at performance, like data-backed experience. And so they invited me to join, and it's going to be my third year this year. So I hope I keep bringing something to the table because they keep inviting me.
Inviting you back on the panel. I
Yep.
love it. I love it. All right. Let's hop into the topic of the day. So the context for those who are watching this series for the first time is that I read a Substack recently about some of the issues that media buyers were having with Advantage Plus inside of Meta. We had heard stories of Advantage Plus mode being kind of toggled on and off, and placements and audiences being toggled on and off without media buyers' control inside of some of these new AI features within Meta. And then Google announced that they were rolling out AI mode, essentially, or Google AI for ads, the Google Ads product, and that they were also going to not give liability waivers to clients. So if for some reason, the creative got changed and it put you afoul of FTC guidelines or made you in violation of something, that was your problem. And, a lot of media agencies who were interviewed in this article really commented on, different varying degrees of being okay with the idea of handing over control, because who cares if it's driving better effectiveness, then that's the most important thing. And then there are, some agencies that feel like their new job is just kind of like policing the logs and making sure that they're, turning things off that were accidentally turned on, and that's their new role. I think you, based on our pre-conversation, have a more bullish perspective on allowing the AI to take more and more control of the ad buying experience inside of walled gardens, whether it pertains to creative copy, imaging, video, et cetera, in addition to the optimization at the placement level. So why don't you just open the floor and give your high-level perspective on these developments?
Sure. Let's bring some level of sanity here. So it might seem that we have very different interests, the platforms and the advertisers. So the platforms, they do want to sell as much as possible at as higher cost as possible, and advertisers want to pay as less. But in the end, I'm going to focus mostly on Google and Meta, right? So both platforms, they are very different. I will be separating them a lot, but they both, in order to keep existing, they need to be profitable and effective for advertisers. So the final goal is the same. So the platforms are not doing stuff to make more money and make advertisers miserable, right? Because they will eventually then lose everyone. But the way they're doing it's very different. So what Google did, it said, okay, I have a bunch of ideas. Let me drive. You sit and watch, but I'm gonna tell you each and every move along the way, so you can deny, turn off whatever you think is inappropriate. So you're gonna see everything, but I'm gonna do the driving. Okay. What Meta said, they said, close your eyes and let's go. So totally different perspectives, right? And again, there is a reason behind that. So if we think as the owners of the platforms, so it's easier for Google to explain the reasoning behind its ideas. So even when it suggests some controversial search terms or URLs or headlines, it always has a reason, like, hey guys, you know what? I know that people search in these very specific, very strange words, but they do search your product using these words. So here's my reasoning behind these headlines. Let's test. While Meta, it knows what we are doing. It knows like this product is usually bought late at night when somebody's laying in their bed. But Meta doesn't have this logical proof that it can present to brands.
It's not
And
based on like an intent behavior, like search is so
exactly.
intent-based,
Exactly.
but Meta just knows the right
Context.
signals, but they can't validate it.
Exactly. Meta does know the signals, but it's harder to explain. It cannot tell us that I know like millions of signals about all you guys. So it kind of says like, I have gut feeling. So that's the difference why Meta is it's more of a black box and Google is much more transparent. But so Google, the size of the pie that Google can sell is only this big, right? And it's not getting bigger. So at some point, people wanted to buy sneakers. The amount of people was growing. Now it's not as much. So this is the pie. But the amount of advertisers, it keeps growing and growing and growing. So how can Google keep selling the clicks at a higher price? It cannot keep like rising the prices because at some point advertisers say, hey, I'm gonna set my target CPA to $200. That's it. So Google has to try and sell all the inventory, even the weather forecast websites or like almost adult websites. So it has to try and sell to stir into the mix everything that it has, which is less effective. But while stirring it in, it will lower the price of the click that we're buying. So basically, that's exactly the same as what we were doing as media buyers, say 5 years ago, would buy some clicks for $4 and some with like twice less conversion will buy them for $2, right? So Google is saving us some time here. It's doing the same, it's selling, so it is saving some time with this operational stuff, but it does make us spend much more time going through everything that it has created, right? So, for example, one of our clients, over a month, they have 6,000 keywords. So 6,000 is a lot, and half of this 6,000, it was created by Google AI. So we have to go through and check because some of those, and then you can decide. So you can either check the results. So like once a week or once in 2 weeks, you see like some groups of keywords or headlines are performing perfect, some are not, you just turn them off. When you have to be very careful about the brand safety or not breaking any laws, you'll want to check exactly to your point and to your question. You'll have to sit down and check like daily what AI has come up with, images or false claims, right? We did find a solution. Well, we didn't find it. We had to create a solution to
You had to
that
build
part.
it.
We had to build it, yeah.
Mhm.
We had to build a tool that it's not AI tool. Well, it is an AI Google auditor, but the main part is Python. It just has the rules using which it just goes through all the millions of rows of data, and just checks. It checks whether it's effective, whether it's going like down, whether some words are against the rules that we told the tool to watch. So we did have to spend several months building the tool, but that's solvable, right? With Meta, it's a different story. Meta took the control away from us and didn't give anything back. The level that we have control over is creative. So Meta has built, and again, that's understandable. Meta has to sell CPM as high as possible. How can it do it? It cannot keep just selling more like clicks. To sell higher, it has to make the conversion also higher, right? So it has to make people click and convert into buying in, say, not 10 clicks, but in 2 clicks. And then you will be willing to pay more for those clicks because they convert much better. So to do that, Meta had to learn how to optimize. And it does optimize much better than we humans because it has the first party data. But to be able to learn and optimize, it had to try and make all the advertisers behave not identically, but as unified as possible. Because if people say everybody's selling sneakers, but somebody's doing it targeting the email, somebody wants to do retargeting, somebody wants to only have stories, somebody wants to have video somebody wants to use. So if everybody is doing different things, it's harder for meta algorithm to analyze what works and what doesn't.
Because
So it kind of,
they can't compare it against a stable
yeah,
sample if everybody's doing different tactics.
yes, yes. That's why Meta is saying, okay, you guys, please try to be as unified as possible, and I, on my end, will learn and help you sell more just by using my algorithm, using my learnings, because I can do that. That's why it is trying to eliminate all the targetings, right? All the different formats. It's even trying to eliminate the retargeting option. It says like, I know if somebody is valuable, I understand that. I'm gonna show 7 times and I'm gonna make him buy. We usually do we work against this when we know that we have an incredible offer. If for a targeting campaign, we can say like 50% discount or any incredible offer, then we will launch it separately because Meta will just keep showing the same creative. But the point
is that the idea where Meta Advantage Plus, like if it already has data against a particular piece of creative that's performing well, it will just keep running that same asset until it hits a point of diminishing returns, and it won't give any new creative, a share of the spend. It's like defaults to the creative that it has existing data on.
Yes, partially, because its only aim is to be able to show us better results, to be able to charge more. But why I mentioned that the new targeting now is creative, because Meta doesn't care about targeting settings anymore. So its suggestion, we will never know whether it will or will not use this suggestion, but Meta can read the creative materials, right? Andromeda is very good at it. And Andromeda knows, for example, if somebody has been Googling back pain solutions for 2 weeks, and you sell mattresses, if you just create a very nice ad with a young couple in beige tones, like choosing a new mattress, you sell the mattress. This somebody with a back pain, they probably need a good mattress, right? But Meta will never show your creative to this somebody, even if you chose to target this person. So what we as advertisers, what we want to do, we want to have as many entry points as possible. And an entry point is your creative hypothesis. So if you sell mattresses, first you have a doctor speaking about benefits of your mattress for back pain or whatever. Then you're going to have a couple remodeling their bedroom. Then you're going to have a mom of 3 kids saying like, best night sleep ever, with a review, right? Buyer review. And so you need to have very specific, very, very different people solving different problems. Then you have 3 entries into the auction. Meta sees a mom opening up Facebook page. It knows that it has a creative from your brand to show to this mom. If it sees a person with a back pain, it knows it has a creative from your brand that answers this person's problem. So that's the control that we have in Meta right now. And for example, if you're a beauty brand, and you sell to girls, but you sell wholesale, your video creatives have to have the first 2 seconds saying, hey, are you a beauty salon owner? So you want all the girls that are B2C, you want them to scroll past. You want Meta to understand that these B2C girls, not our audience, we want them to give us negative feedback. So your first 2 seconds gotta help Meta understand that this is for wholesale clients.
Mm.
That's the way we work with Meta right now. We have to, I mean, not we, like we as human beings, we have to work with Meta through creatives and create different hypotheses.
That's interesting. So you almost have to boil the ocean in order to find your target audience. And really the creative needs to do the disqualification of, like that's why so many ads these days, you see it starts like, oh, are you this type of person? Well, then scroll past
Yeah,
this ad. I don't want to talk to you. And it's like kind of quickly
exactly.
incentivizing the viewer to disqualify themselves. So then the people that watch paths that are in the right target without having to. Is that do you waste a lot of media to find the target audience through that kind of like broad approach, or does it figure out what the commonalities are pretty quickly? I guess they call that the learning phase, right? Does it kind of drill down and find the audience quickly? Would you say, like, how long do you have to kind of?
Yeah, I want to say rather quickly than not, because like 1 whole week is enough for the
Wow.
algorithm to get out of the learn phase. If you were like good enough in the beginning, right? If you did your job as a strategist, if you did research your audience and the pain points, then you'll probably yeah, it's pretty quick. You don't need to spend like 100,000 and a month just sitting and watching.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's so you have pretty deep platform expertise and you understand how these two platforms, which are the biggest and most important, are making these optimizations. I think there's certain brands that, like we talked a little bit off camera about Gap, right? Like they're big enough to where a mistake or sacrificing brand identity is too much of a risk. But then there's this huge swath of hundreds of other direct to consumer clothing competitors that might be going after the same audience the Gap is, and they're willing to essentially throw out any constraints to find that user and find that acquisition at any cost. I talked to a buyer the other day that said, that there are brands that will probably be really tight around brand constraints when they're thinking about more highly visible channels, maybe for their annual TV campaign or their quarterly TV campaign or their quarterly CTV campaign, maybe for Super Bowl commercials, maybe for like larger campaign kind of hero assets. They're going to want more control and be less willing to allow AI to optimize the creative. But when you get down to hundreds of performance ads or catalog shop ads or UGC creator ads, that's where brands need to be more willing to release the reins of control on the creative optimization. Would that be a similar thesis that you have? Is we got to let these AI optimizations take their course and leverage the fact that they just know so much about the audience and they know more than any strategist would ever be able to do on their
own? We'll have to do a step back. So marketing, for as long as it exists, it hasn't really changed much over the 100 years. The thing is, if you know your audience and you know the pain and your product solves this pain, you're going to be fine. It doesn't matter. You don't have to use meta suggestions of the images or headlines. You don't have to add by now, as long as you really sell something that people need. If you sell those mattresses just because everybody sells mattresses, you probably have to use the help of AI, but it will perform as good, as bad, as if you hire the best copywriter on this planet. If you don't have the insight and you don't have the specific solution to somebody's pain, it doesn't matter who created the creative. So that's point number one. point number 2, the platforms, what we see a lot on our clients' accounts, Google does know something that we don't, and no human being can possibly know and can possibly imagine that somebody can type in something as strange. But Google does see, like, and we make like 2,000 sales a day on a crazy headline that we would never, ever, ever, ever come up with. So, because we are testing AI Max. We do not rely on it. We do, as I think most marketers will tell you, we do A/B tests. We do rely on our like manual and like proven campaign types, but we do test, and it does show great results because again it has the first party data. But the point is, first your product and the insight, and then it's less important who has created what. And to the point of big brands and small brands, that's correct. Bigger enterprises, they cannot afford the risk, and in most cases they turn off all the AI enhancements, URLs, all the AI created keywords. They might be losing a lot, but if an AI makes a false claim, the risk is so much higher. So it is a balance, but luckily most of US advertisers are smaller, medium-sized businesses, and they can, honestly, it's less about brand safety and more about profitability. So they in most cases, they benefit from what the platform suggests. But there's one thing about Meta. So in Google, you do see a lot, and so you can turn off whatever you don't like. But Meta, it does want to optimize and learn for most advertisers to benefit. But when I say most, I mean 70%. And the chance of you getting into the 30% is 30%, right?
Yeah, it's still high.
So
It's still relatively high that you are
it
going to
is.
fall in this like non-best practices group of advertisers, right?
Yeah. Yes. And that's when you need to have a good agency or consultant or somebody who understands that you're probably in this 30%, and you gotta go against all the recommendations, all the AI generated headlines or whatever Meta suggestion you to use. So yeah, that's where the agency really thrives.
I love it. Well, I think the most important takeaway is that you can't rely on AI. Like you really talked about product market fit being the most important thing. It goes back to, the insight and the product that you're creating, and does it solve a real problem in the world? And no amount of creativity or AI optimization is going to sell a bad product or a product that nobody needs or a product that is in a sea of sameness. So I think that's an important insight that marketers need to be thinking about at the front end is, do they have a product that truly can take advantage of all these tools and is needed? Yeah, there's so many companies that get launched and funded that probably never should have been companies in the first place. So, well, Galina, thank you for your take on that. I'd love to spend the rest of the time diving into your background and your agency more at large, if you'd be up for that.
Sure.
All right. You've written extensively about applying Google's research on behavioral bias, authority bias, scarcity bias, and the power of now, directly into ad creatives. How do you structure a performance creative brief that designs and copy teams can intentionally trigger some of these psychological biases without the ad feeling too manipulative or gimmick heavy?
Okay. The thing is, again, this is a choice. This is a balance between getting results and preserving the brand safety. We have to play by the rules. As all the bloggers, they have to start their videos with this crazy hooks, right? Because they have to make people stay for the first 3 seconds. Most of the times, it sounds crazy, but you understand that they have to play by the rules. With creative materials, our brain, given that we've evolved a lot, our brain still gets triggered by very specific, very basic things. If we're given some deadline, scarcity, our brain tells us, you gotta make it, you gotta buy before the deadline hits, right? And that's just wired. Or we still, if we're told something is free, you don't need this tote bag. But if the brand says it's free if you buy for $500, you try and and buy for 500. It's just the human brain. It's not like it's not bad. It's just the way it's wired. So if we want to sell through paid media, we have to play by those rules. We can be and it's always, I've seen many brands saying that we are very high-end brand, or we don't have discounts. We don't say like buy now. We don't offer, we can offer a free engraving. Let's say it's a jewelry, and we'll do a free engraving. It is free, but it's relatively small to the cost of a $10,000 ring, right? And we're always honest with our clients. You either come up with an offer, because paid media is making somebody do something impulsively. If you want the person to act impulsively, you got to push the person a little bit. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just the way human brain works. So you not necessarily brands have to have 50% of the image saying like free stuff, but at least incorporate something. If you can't say something is free, or for example, come up with social proof. Use something, use reviews, or you probably as a brand, you have an award. Use this award as a bigger part of the creative material, write in the material, like awarded best something of 2026. So there is a range of techniques, not a range, we use 6, but it's not always something that makes the brand looks cheaper. You can use the reviews or acknowledgement just to prove that somebody has endorsed us. So you can trust somebody has already endorsed and told that we are legit.
A lot of performance marketers throw dozens of random ad variations against the wall, hoping that something converts. How do you balance rigorous hypothesis-driven testing and matching specific audience segments to message and product combinations versus the raw iteration speed that we've been talking about with some of the more macro targeting opportunities?
First, we have a process which is called learning agenda. So our strategist would have 5 specific most important target audiences. We'll have specific pain points of those target audiences, and then we'll come up with several communications. And then we just upload this to, say, Meta, and we'll let Meta do the magic. So we have a bunch of hypotheses. We upload, we test in a week. We probably see that a couple of them are underperforming, and we upload a new version of new 5 hypotheses. But again, we're getting back to my point. You do not have to have 100 of variations. You gotta know what problem your product is solving. You will usually most likely end up having 5 to 10 hypotheses. That's it. If you have more, probably you're still searching for the market fit, right? Which is also okay. But for most brands, you will not have as many, right?
You've led campaigns for mega brands like Pepsi and Lego while also mentoring early stage startups through Alchemist Accelerator. What's the biggest operational difference in how you pitch, structure, and scale growth marketing for a Fortune 500 enterprise versus a venture-backed tech startup?
It is easier to work with well-established brands because you have the history of what has been working so far, and you can actually analyze something, right? So you know something is falling, something is rising. You have lots of data to base your decisions on. And all the decisions you're making, they are lower risk because you have not just the benchmarks, but you just base we base our proposals on what we see in the ad accounts. With startups, it's usually searching for market fit, and it's a totally different story. So I would still always, so with bigger brands, we have a huge playground. So we, for example, we want to scale. We don't have to stick to Meta and Google. We can play with TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitch, X. We need to find new audiences. We need to find new approaches. With smaller companies or startups that are just starting their journey, it's always Meta and Google. That's it. Because these two platforms, the best AI and brain insight, the best optimization, the best first party data, like you just have to stick to those two and you don't experiment. Doesn't answer your question.
I think so.
Do you want
Yeah.
me?
No, I think so. It's I love that idea of like Google and Meta are these two channels that have to be mastered at no matter what. And then once you've mastered those channels, and it may take you years and tons of market share before you ever get to the point where you need to add a third channel and start trying to find incrementality and media diversification, so you don't get solely dependent on one of these platforms and then they change, AT&T or Apple break up and they don't share data anymore, and then all of a sudden you have a problem, right? So I think that's really a good way to think about it, is kind of, what are the beachheads that have to be conquered first, from the performance world, and Meta and Google are really there. All right. We've spent a lot of time talking about AI optimization on the creative side. As platforms like Meta Advantage Plus and Google Performance Max and AI Max push automated AI ad generation, we're seeing an influx of generic ad slop where every brand starts to look identical. How does Effect Group ensure that client campaigns retain distinctive visual craft and brand equity while still taking advantage of those platform automations?
We've talked about that a lot. We always want to start with the insight and how the specific brand is working on this pain point for their buyers. It doesn't matter. So we let's do a step back. How the AI suggestions work on the side of Meta. When you launch the campaign, before launching the campaign, Meta it does try to push us to use as many AI features as possible. But while setting up the campaign, you can unclick all the toggles. You can not use the suggested headlines or texts or images, whatever it is suggesting. If you are sure you know your customer and you know what you have to offer. Again, if you just sell mattresses because everybody sells mattresses, you might probably wanna follow the suggestions because Meta does know a little more about how to motivate those people on the platform. With Google, you can turn everything off if you'd like. And it will not, we've never ever had the case of something turning back on after we switched it off. At least in our practice, that was never the case. But as I told you, we see lots of useful headlines. It's not about the creatives being the same, but we do see lots of lots of bad headlines suggested by Google, but it's within a week you get to catch those and turn them off. But we also do see lots of good suggestions. We don't see it to be AI slop or whatever. It does generate sales that we would never, ever, ever get if not for Google's AI suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's smart to think about that. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and user behavior is strange. People search for strange things. So, all right,
They do.
let's talk a little bit about signal loss. So, with signal loss, cookie depreciation, and fragmented customer journeys, relying strictly on the platform's reported ROAS can sometimes be misleading. How do you advise clients to measure true incrementality and lift across paid search, paid social, and brand awareness efforts?
We always tell everybody never, ever, ever use platform reports. They create their own homework, so they will always try and tell you that whichever sale they have touched, they will try to tell you that they contributed, right? And they have contributed, but you just have the doubled numbers if you just use two platform reports together. So we always use marketing mix modeling. We always, or at least we try and use some combined dashboard. So sometimes you cannot use the marketing mix modeling if the brand doesn't have the couple of years of incremental data. So then we will at least make sure we have the CAPI, so we're not at least losing some information thanks to all the iOS restrictions, right? And other browser restrictions. And then we will also try and use the J4 reports and better CRM reports. We really almost don't care about platform reports. We can have a look there for the trends. That's it. Not because they're bad. That's just the way they were created.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it goes, I think, a lot to talk about third-party validation. What's the role of the media agency to be the fair arbiter of all these platforms that you're buying across to make sure that you're getting non-biased reporting? Because, yeah, they have incentive to take credit for every sale they can because it justifies the increase in cost that we talked about and the CPMs going up and the cost per acquisition going up over time. If they can show more contribution to the sales funnel, then they can justify those increases in costs.
But that's also possible that they did take part. For example, if Meta says, well, it has shown the creative material to somebody, so it might have contributed to this somebody Googling it later, right? So it's not like complete lie. It's just not as accurate.
Yeah, and it's hard to give the buyer behavior that we've all been accustomed to, which is Googling something, clicking and buying, when there's so many other messaging, there's so many other opportunities to be exposed to the brand throughout the buyer journey that don't always lead to a buyer action, a click or something like that. But still, like, you're right. I'm way more influenced than ads I see on TV. They're on a big screen where I'm not looking at my phone versus ones that I see when I'm scrolling through social and trying to get to content that I actually want to see.
Of course.
Well, Galina, this has been a fascinating conversation. I really appreciated your contribution and your insights.
Let me add something.
Yeah, please.
You know what? I was watching some of your past interviews, and I just want to bring a more piece of useful content, if I may.
Let's do it. Please
so you had a question. You had a question about how in today reality with AI agents, AI overviews in Google, when people, like 60% of them, the number that I know is up to 80% of clicks don't add, and people like going to your website. It is crazy important for all the brands to understand the way the AI overview in Google works. You have like what we used. Everybody knows that SEO is important, right now, it's crucial for the AI agents to be able to go to your website and really understand what exactly you are selling, how much it costs, if it's available, what's the delivery timing. And so all the information on the website needs to be accurate and very, very like, specific and a lot. If an AI agent can't read your website, you can get to the AI overview. So that's a very important difference right now. People they don't get the list of links. And for the brand to be able to get into the AI overview, it has to be readable and understandable for the Google AI agents. So I'm telling all my clients, even especially the smaller businesses, you have to spend lots of time on your catalogs, on your Google Shopping, Google My Business, setting up all the connections if you haven't done so, and making sure you have all the information about your products specified on the website. So that's the minimum what you have to do to be able to get into Google AI overview.
That's the table stakes for AEO optimization. I love it. Well, Galina, really appreciate your insights. Thanks for spending some time with the audience today. I think we could probably put you in the bullish category of AI optimization and how these tools are a net benefit to the types of clients that you work with. So we appreciate your context. And if folks want to follow along with your thought leadership or connect with you, where do you want to send them to stay in touch?
Sure, my LinkedIn page is wide open. I love posting my thoughts and my new, like whatever I find new in the industry, I try to post regularly.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. You guys should give Galina a follow on LinkedIn. And for those of you who are watching the show for the first time, don't forget to give us a follow or subscribe. So next time we go live with great thought leadership from the agency and brand world, you will be able to tune in live. And if you are listening to the show, an honest review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, go ahead and do that. And last but not least, we need to get our YouTube subscriber numbers up as well. So don't forget to follow us on YouTube. And if there is a brand out there who you think would enjoy the conversation that I had with Galina today, maybe somebody in the media buying space who is thinking about these important issues of hands-on keyboards, human in the loop, and AI optimization, both in the media and the creative side of buying, and more importantly, just anybody who you think would benefit or enjoy the conversation that I had Galina with today, don't forget to share the show. And with that, we will wish you all a great weekend. We will see you again Monday with more provocative thought leadership. Thanks, Galina.